name is Ken Scott with Provectus Group, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So, family background, my mother's from Michigan. My father's from the Northwest, Seattle, Washington. So I was born here in Georgia, but I sometimes I lack the Southern accent that I should have. But my parents are from up north, so I've got a mix of the Southern hospitality and whatever's happening up north. I don't know what's going on up there. What's so funny is that I didn't touch my first firearm until I was 18 years old. I didn't even know that we had firearms growing up. But like most people who are like us, we don't talk about those types of things, and you generally don't know anything about that. But my first interaction with firearms was with my roommate. My roommate was a sheriff's deputy. He took me to his parents' house and they laid it all out. Literally, my first firearm I shot was a 7 millimeter rifle, lot of recoil. I remember like it just happened a second ago. I'm standing next to him. His father is got the rifle on a bench and they're shooting off a bench. And when I felt that concussive blast, I was like, oh my. Like no one had ever told me about that. I didn't know that that existed. I barely knew anything about guns. But I still remember to this day feeling the power from a firearm and going, oh wow, this is cool. I was scared, but it was cool. And I shot it. I shot some handguns, Glocks, and I want to say I kind of fell in love with it, but I was scared. I immediately knew how much power that was, and I knew I needed to respect it. Period. I was terrified. And then when I turned 21, I bought my first pistol. I went to the local pawn shop. I bought a Springfield Armory XD 5-inch 45 gap. And I was so scared when I came out of the pawn shop. It was in the case. And when I got in the car, I set it in the passenger seat and I turned the case so it wasn't pointing at me. In my mind, the bullets was going to jump out the box, hop in the mag was going to jump in the gun, I was going to get shot. Like I laugh at that now and it's hilarious, but it just goes to show you don't know what you don't know. And when I look at that now, it's been that constant reminder. I've taught thousands now online. People have learned from our videos in person. And it's easy to forget about those first times. But I love this because I get that constant reminder. And I remember how nervous and nerve-wracking it could be in the beginning. And how we got to handle it with kid gloves just a little bit. Be, a little kind, love, compassion, so we can invite people to this. But that was my first experience. Then I got into armed security. I felt a call into law enforcement, but it's a huge jump trying to get into law enforcement. It's a huge commitment. It could take 6 months to a year just to get through the hiring process. So before I started any of that, I said, let me just kind of get my feet wet and see if I like it. Started doing armed security, general static security. Then I started doing personal security for people, started getting some good training. And I really enjoyed the personal security stuff, but did that and then eventually got into law enforcement. So I got in law enforcement in 2008 and did regular patrol, got promoted on patrol, was a supervisor. I enjoyed it. But while I was on patrol, I enjoyed doing interdiction. So that's the stopping of crime as it's happening. So it requires you to understand criminal conduct and behavior and body language and know what it means and all that kind of good stuff. And I was just really intrigued by it. But also at the same time, I was training a lot. I love training, especially firearm type training and any type of training that was going to help me with criminal procedure, which is Fourth Amendment stuff. Any type of training that's going to help me with my tactics so I can stay alive, make sure I'm doing things right when I'm looking for some of these bad people. And I enjoyed getting drugs, and I enjoyed stopping crime as it was happening. It was a huge challenge versus crime's already happened, I'm just getting a warrant or making an arrest. I enjoyed that challenge of how do you recognize that something is afoot and then going about it the legal way. So while I'm doing all that, I'm taking all this training. People are asking me because I'm in law enforcement, hey, can you show me how to shoot? You shoot well. And every time I would take somebody to the range or show them how to shoot and do all these things, I knew I was good at it and I loved it. Like, when you do something and you're like, man, I just feel at home. the interaction with the student, the feedback, seeing them go from knowing nothing and they're super nervous and scared and everything that surrounds that to go to empowered and comfortable and confident, and they feel comfortable with the gun. They know how to shoot it. The bullet's going where they want it to go. They're smiling. I always felt that. We're teaching law enforcement guys, a group of us in law enforcement, we would get together about once a month and shoot together. It was a great thing from camaraderie, but I knew that it was something that I needed to be very good at. And I knew that out of all the skills that were given to me and taught to me, the firearm was the least as far as training was concerned. I wanted to be just as good with the firearm as I was with everything else. So my mouthpiece, being able to de-escalate things, all the other tools on my belt, but mainly the gift of the gab. I wanted to be good at all those things because I understood very quickly how important that was. Eventually, my dream came true. I went to instructor school, then I went to firearm instructor school, defensive tactics instructor school. I mean, it was awesome, and I started to understand the behind the scenes of how do you put together curriculum, how do people learn. That was extremely important, how to teach yourself. And then understanding a little bit more about interpersonal communication, how we communicate with one another, how to make sure that the message intended is the one received, how to ensure that that happened, and if it wasn't, let's repackage that and send it again. So I was learning all these things. I was in my early 20s at the time too, so I was learning a lot and started teaching law enforcement all the time, realized in all of it that we really need to be teaching regular folks, not cops, because it's a really, really low percentage of the time where law enforcement is actually going to be there to stop whatever it is. Although we want to be there during every situation to protect you from that, but it's just physically not possible. So I realized that, man, I'm showing up to these calls, violent crimes, and I'm taking notes. I'm not stopping anything I'm taking notes. What happened? What they look like? How'd they get in? All those important questions, and then having to put it all together and then go and prosecute. While the entire time while that violent encounter is occurring, you're dealing with it. The regular person is dealing with that situation from A to Z, and their life is literally in their hands, not a law enforcement officer's hands, not their husband, not their friend, family member. You can't depend on anybody to do that. I realized very, very quickly, and that was reinforced over the decade that I was in law enforcement, where regular folks need the training the most. They need the situational awareness. They need to know what to look for. They need to know how to deal with a situation once they've noticed something. It's not always about the gun, but there's a lot of training that needs to be had for civilians. And to be honest with you, I think part of the reason why that's the case is partly from law enforcement, because I remember saying several times to victims or to people, hey, call us. We'll come and deal with that. You don't have to worry about that. When in fact, that was wrong. We need to equip the everyday person how to protect themselves, how to recognize danger, and how to prepare, and how to do it. Here's the thing, how to do all of that while still living a normal life, while not being paranoid, looking all around, and losing your mind, literally, especially in today's world. That was my law enforcement career. I had to medically retire. I had 2 back surgeries, and it was either desk work or nothing. So I was like, I'm good. But after I ended my career, I did K9. I was over at task force, really enjoyed those things. But one of the things that I'm very proud of too is I was a chief of police for a short period of time. It was an amazing experience, but I'm not good with politics, especially very unreasonable politics. So decided to give that up. But the biggest thing was my calling was to come to Provectus Group. We started Provectus Group in 2016. That was the year I retired. I really, truly felt my calling was to do Provectus Group, and me being a chief of police was just more of a distraction. So that was the real reason why I gave it up. But we started Provectus Group then. It's been 6.5 years, and we've been teaching and trying to spread the good word so that more people stay alive. I truly feel that that is my calling and my purpose, and that's what I'm going to do. I want to help you. So I'm the guy that when I see bad things happening to people, it angers me. That really gets under my skin, especially with people who are not capable of standing up for themselves. So children, older people, and just people in general. I know many, many people are not capable of or don't have the courage to stand up for themselves. And I've always been that person who would step in and try to right that wrong. I get a lot of fulfillment out of that. One of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason why leaving law enforcement was so difficult, that was my purpose and calling, not a career. So when you feel like it's being stripped away from you because of injuries or whatever, I had a big problem with it because I was like, hell, I'm not going to be able to help people now. How am I going to do that? And I'm going to tell you something. Now with what I do with Provectus Group, we can help millions, and we are. So God knows what he's doing. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's why I got into security, and that's ultimately why I got into law enforcement, and that is still why I do what I do today. I want to help folks in every way possible, especially when it comes to staying alive. There are people out here, they wake up and it is their job to rape, pillage, and plunder. That is their job, and they're very, very good at it. Literally. That's their job. That's what a criminal, that's what they do. So I want people to be able to walk confidently throughout life, you know what I mean? And not walk around scared. I know what that's like. So I want to do things so that people can live that life as well and enjoy that freedom and have that opportunity to actually pursue happiness.